All right, so here we have our NeuroQuant MS product, and I will show you just for this product, the two required inputs are 3D T1 image, as you can see here on the right-hand side, and as well as a 3D or a 2D FLAIR image, as you can see here on the left. So this patient is in their 50s with MS burden, as you can see, as well as lesions and some lesion load as well. Here, what I wanted to show you is in the bottom right, our regional output map, which showcases the lesions that were detected and segmented, color-coded by region. So you can see the purple ventricular lesions, whereas the orangish yellow color here is and then you can see the cortical and deep white lesions here in red and green. So this outputs the segmentation overlay standardized to our dynamic atlas. So you can see here that the inputs are synced with the segmentation overlay of the output. We also produce some other segmentation outputs as well. So this is the lesions stratified by region and color-coded. We also do produce, as I will showcase here, the lesions segmented where each lesion is given a separate color. So you can see here in turquoise, one lesion, lighter green, another lesion. We have this big periventricular confluent lesion here, another lesion here. So this is a useful map just to showcase which lesions, the individualized lesions, and having a color code map for those. Now here I wanted to show two other outputs that come along with our NeuroQuant MS product. On the right, you can see our neurobrain parcellation output here, just showcasing the cortical gray in red, as well as the cerebellum in yellow, brainstem, as well as some subcortical structures. This is typical as outputted by our NeuroQuant products for dementia, but here we just provide it as well to correlate the lesion segmentation, which you can see here in dark purple. So this is the T1 hypointensities that are detected with the NeuroQuant MS output. On the left is our LQ change map, which is showcasing those enlarging or new or shrinking or stable lesions. Here we're just showcasing the shrinking in blue, new areas of lesion load in red, enlarging areas in yellow. And that's just a useful output to be able to showcase alongside the segmentation and the original inputs to further validate, quickly validate areas of change lesions. Here we have the NeuroQuant MS multi-time point output showcasing the change from a prior to, so you can see in the top, we have information, the report information of the current scan acquisition date to the prior, as well as site information again. The lesion visualization section showcases the different types of lesions, periventricular, deep white, juxtacortical, infratentorial, and centered screenshots around those types of lesions. You will also see here the gradient output. You can see here in blue this ring, as well as orange and green and red. And what these colors indicate are the lesions that are shrinking relative to the previous time point, or stable or enlarging. So this just gives a visual cue to where exactly in the segmentation changes were being detected. Now, though we see the tabulated data consists of three main parts. So we have the lesion summary, which showcases the lesion burden or volume for total current time point versus the prior. You can see in this case there was no change, and also stratified out by type of lesion. We also have the counts here, as well as the lesion load expressed as a % of white matter. And then you can see, as showcased by the gradient colors up here, the shrinking, stable, enlarging, and new, we have those counts as well as their volumes of change and where they are located. So periventricular, new lesions, there weren't any. However, there were changes within the deep white and the juxtacortical lesions. And then you can see here that there were lesions here were stable. Now, also pulling from our NeuroQuant reports, we showcase the structure volumes for this patient as well. So we are showing the volumes of a select set of structures: whole brain, gray and white matter, the thalami and the hippocampi at the current time point and the prior time point. We also showcase the normative percentiles as shown in the standard NeuroQuant reports. We can further dig down in the subsequent pages of this report to just get easy bullet point outputs of how many lesions were found, when was the scan acquired, what was the lesion burden, as well as counts of new shrinking or enlarging lesions, as well as what type of lesions they were, or where was their regional finding. You also get more graphical and other tabular outputs of the outputs. So you can see on the left, the lesion burden by location. Again, we have these regional stratification of the lesions, as well as by brain region. So juxtacortical in the frontal lobe, in the temporal lobe, and being able to further substratify where these lesions are being located and how they are changing in those areas. We also do a hemisphere analysis of right versus left, as well as different time point chart that is showcasing the burden over time. So here it was seen relatively soon after the previous scan, and there was no change. So these are close together here on this plot. We also output a page going through every few slices or so that you can get just a general view without scrolling through the outputs of individual lesion change and individual visualization, as well as what you may be familiar with from our NeuroQuant outputs, the normative reference charts of different regions of the brain, as well as the time point change plotting as well. And then finally, the last page just delivers an appendix of the scan information, as well as the thresholds that were used to detect here, as well as a rather long output that just summarizes the different sections of this table in case you need a reference point.